more than a game, is going to be marketed. People are going to think it's a basketball movie,
Yeah.
and they would be wrong.
I think so. I think they would be wrong. I think people right away assume it's a basketball movie and they assume it's a LeBron James film. But I think one of the best things about the film is that there are 6 main characters, and the true central figure of the film is actually the coach, Coach Drew Joyce. And I think the reason this is important are there's so many characters and so many themes in the film that allows it to transcend a sports film. People that don't like basketball have seen the film and are affected by it, and they're drawn to one character or a theme, whether it be brotherhood or family or overcoming adversity. These people who don't understand the sport are still emotionally touched. These themes are striking a chord with them, and to me as a filmmaker, that's about as much as I can ask for. I'm really excited to hear when people say it's more than a sports film. That's really why we called it More Than a Game. To me, at the very heart of documentary is trust. To me, there's nothing more important than trust in a documentary, because these are real people. These are real life stories. They're not scripted. And for someone to give you access to their life, that's a gift. That's a responsibility. There's a lot of pressure that goes with that. You have to stay true to them and their story. You're trying to make it entertaining and get the point across, but you have to be real with them. And so you have to maintain that trust. And for me, with these boys especially, because a lot of them were guarded and weren't sure about having cameras around them, the trust was earned over time. I first showed up at practice and I was only given access to one practice. That's kind of the deal I made with the coach. And I decided to come back the day after and see what happened. And no one said anything, so I showed up again. And after a while, they kind of just accepted me as the the unofficial member of the team that wasn't very good at basketball. They accepted me. And as I spent more and more time with them, and not just weeks and months went by, but years went by, I was still coming back and doing interviews with them 2, 3, 4 years after they graduated from high school. And they continued to trust me even more and more, because at this point LeBron was in the NBA, but I wasn't putting the camera only on LeBron. I wasn't trying to tell the LeBron film. Those boys really respected that about me. The story that I told them I was going to tell, I was still trying to tell it 6 years later. And that's the kind of thing that earned that trust. And I think that's why we were able to sit down and do those interviews in an emotional way and really reach through to, not just factual, but emotional.
Well, keep calling them the boys, but you're not really that much older than they are.
I know. I know. Yeah. I guess it's because I've spent so much time with, even though I wasn't with them when they were in 5th and 6th grade, 7th grade, I've still spent so much time with them in the edit room that I guess, part of me does see them as those boys. Although, it's hard to look at LeBron and those guys as a boy. They're all so big now. They're all bigger than I am. So, yeah, you're right. But, a part of me will always still see that side of them. There's a shot that didn't make it into the film that was pretty remarkable. I remember we were at the Ohio State gym, and they weren't even playing. We were scouting the next game that they were going to play the next day. We were watching the team play. And there was a tunnel, the big stadiums have the tunnels the players come out of. We were sitting at the top of the tunnels, so the team was kind of split in two, and the tunnel was dividing us. And, the tunnel's probably 15, 20 feet wide or whatever. It's pretty big. And there's one of LeBron's teammates was sitting in front of me, and he was sleeping, and his head was back like this, and his mouth was open. Like this, I'm not even joking. And LeBron was on the other side of the tunnel. He was probably 15 to 20 feet away, and he was eating French fries. And he saw, the guys were making fun of the kid whose mouth was open. And LeBron took a French fry, and just like it was unbelievable. It really was like a movie. He shot it with one hand, and it went right in the kid's mouth. And the kid woke up, and everyone was dying with laughter. It was hilarious. And I was trying to film it, and my sports photography was not. I could deal with the long passes. I could deal with the quick dunks.
Like NFL films.
We needed Steve Sable's crew to come in and save things, because I couldn't. Maybe if it was a curly fry and there was some wind, I couldn't do it. It was a regular fry and I couldn't do it. But it was unbelievable, and it's something I'll never forget.
Everybody talks about you'll never be here again, and you have that in the movie. This is the last time you'll ever play basketball together again. But they don't realize that until maybe 4, 5, 6 years later, and you got that.
Absolutely, and Coach Drew says that. Towards the end of the film, he tells the guys in a real honest way, look around the room. What you guys have is very, very special. And he says it. He says this is something you guys won't appreciate till later in life. And at that point, I can't speak for the boys, but they probably didn't appreciate it, or I'm sure they did, but not to the full extent. And yeah, the final interviews I ended up doing with the boys was 6 years after I started shooting, and it was about 4 years after they graduated. And I had interviews from day one and from year one and year two, but none of those interviews had the same sense of gravity with what these guys' understanding was. They didn't have the same emotional connection. I think these boys were able to reflect and look back, like you said, as adults, and have a better perspective on it. And that's just a treat for the audience, because it allows us to connect in a real way. The national championship game, Coach Drew, they're down at halftime, and he comes in, and I think a lot of people are probably expecting like a big rah-rah speech with kicking lockers and things like that, but he really breaks it down to like the essentials of humanity, and he really appeals to the boys as humans.
But as you shot that, I mean, you tried to get inside his head. You were so close on his eye, on one eye.
Yeah.
And it sticks with me, certainly.
That's a shot I'm proud of. Yeah. That's one of the shots I'm proud of. I really, I'm a fan of the close-up in general, and part of me was thinking, well, geez, if this goes to the big screen, is that too close? You have to earn that in a way. You can't go that close on just anybody, and you can't do it at the beginning of a movie. But I felt like at that point, that was really when an instinct kicked into me, and I said, this is a moment when we have to be, up in Coach Drew's face, up on that eye during this message. It's not about what he's saying; it's about how he's saying it. And to me, it was more about the emotionality, and I'm proud of that shot, and I think that was a moment that I was kind of proud of that instinct. That's really when I felt like I knew, okay, I'm a better filmmaker than I was 3 months ago and 4 months ago. I am proud of that shot. Actually, I had a still photo of that shot made. I have it. Yeah. It's a good one.
Stuck with me.
Okay. Cool.
By the way, you're full screen on your face is full screen right now.
See, perfect. I'll try and break down some tears for you.